everyone. This is kind of an exciting time. I've come up to the cabin because I've arranged for the plumber to come because we're going to connect the water from the lake to the cabin. Now, he's going to be doing an awful lot of the work that I can't, or at least shouldn't be doing, regarding the pump and the pressure tank, the filtration systems and the buried cables and all of that stuff. And Patrick's a little camera shy, so I won't be filming much of that. But there's a lot of stuff I can do. I've got to build the pump house and build a frame, a framed wall in the basement for the filtration system to accommodate it. And I can hook up some fixtures in the toilet and things like that. But he'll be doing all the technical stuff, the heavy stuff. And hopefully within a couple days, we'll be having running water. And I'm down here at the Shoreline because if you followed along, you know I was building a platform for the pump that's going to send the water up to the cabin. And I did it twice. The first one just wasn't going to work. So I took it apart and redid it. And this one's pretty good, nice and level. I just have to do a little bit of work in that back corner and it's done. But what I want to do now is build a pump house to protect both the pump and the electrical line that's going to feed the pump. So I've cut a bunch of boards up top and some 5-foot studs on that side, and I got some 4-foot studs for this side, and I'm going to build a little house that's got a roof slant on it like that. There's a big root coming through this area from this birch tree, and it's very large, and I would have had to cut it if I wanted to make a level platform, and it's so huge I'm afraid I'd be endangering the tree. So I'm making a bridge to go over top of this, a couple small pieces of plywood on both sides, and then I'll put a 2x4 across. So there's 5 rafters, and I'll need to put a roof on top of that, either plywood or maybe metal roof. And I'll close the walls in as well on this pump house. Right now, it's the end of the day, and we've got a pump ready to go. Just got to hook it up right here. And we've got a line running all the way across the shoreline, which I'll move out into the water. And so now the water pump and the pressure tank are hooked up, and the pressure tank is elevated so that when it needs to be drained, it can gravity drain. Everything is pretty much in place. The pump and the pressure tank and all the lines. I'll just give a closer look here. This is a 1/2 horsepower pump, and it's set to turn on when the pressure drops to 30 pounds, and it turns off when the pressure gets up to 50 pounds. And it draws the water through this line, this hose inside the big O, and it goes out into the water way past the end of those rocks. And there's a foot valve out there that draws in the water. There's the pressure tank, and electricity wise, we've got electricity coming down, going up into the box. This is a switch to turn the pump on and off. Follows that line there. And this is a receptacle that we don't need for the system per se, but for some things, like in the fall when it's time to shut down, so I don't have to take the pump out and remove it, keep it all from freezing, I'll hook up a compressor to this valve here, and I'll blow all the water out of the system. And I'll need to plug that in, and I'll have a plug to do so. So that's everything that's inside the pump house. Now, just to keep it all weatherproof and sheltered, I'm going to put a metal roof on top and some walls around the side. And I've just cut a wall, and I'm going to put it up right now on the back. That'll be the first wall I'm going to put up. Here it is right here. Well, I'm working on the roof of the pump house now, and my neighbor, who's been really helpful to me during this whole build, had some extra metal roofing around, and he gave me a couple pieces. I've got one piece up, and it's not perfect, but I think it'll do the job. And I've put in these metal screws about every 10 inches or so. And you'll see on the edge here, they're supposed to go on top of these ridges. But on the edge, the ridge has a wave in it. And when the screw goes down, the rubber gasket won't seat because of this. And water would be able to get through. So I decided to just screw it right into the flat part of the roof. I think that'll be okay. Anyway, so this piece covers about 2/3 of the roof. And I've got another piece. And what I'm going to do is lay it over top of this and drill down into it. Now I did have to cut out a piece here for the tree. So I cut about 1 inch off of that one. And I'm going to have to do the same on the other one. I'm pre-drilling the holes before I put it up there. Makes it just a little easier to start the screw. Cut there, and fold it back where the tree is. So I've got 2 rows of screws in the first panel, about every 10 inches. And when I was pre-drilling, I drilled holes in the 3rd ridge as well. But I don't need those holes because this second panel is going to overlap this. So I probably don't need to, but I'm going to fill these holes with some silicone just before I overlap them, just in case water gets through. Just a little dab. Well, there it is. It's not a work of art. It won't be in Better Homes and Gardens anywhere, but as long as it keeps the water out of the inside, then that'll be good enough. To get water into the cabin, we originally thought we'd get a well, and we had some quotes, and they were up in the $30,000 range. So that was out of the question. Now, when you bring it from the lake, of course, it's not drinkable. So we're putting in a filtration system. It's got 3 different filters, a sediment filter, a carbon filter, and an ultraviolet filter. And it's going to attach to the wall. But in the future, if this basement is going to be insulated, I thought what I'd do is I'd build a partial wall right now of 2x6s and insulate it. And I'll put a sheet of plywood on top, and we'll fasten the 3 filters to that. So the studs are in place, and I'm just cutting the rock salt to fit right now. So that's a 3/4 inch piece of plywood with insulation behind it, and that's where the 3 water filters are going to go.
Oh, man.
So we finished with the downspout on this side of the house or cabin, and it's buried all the way to the top of the hill. And now we have to consider doing the other side of the cabin. Now it'll be a much smaller, shorter Big O and an easier job. So I've got it in place and it's flowing down, but I'm not going to bury it yet because I am considering taking this tree down right here. It's dying and it's dangerous to the building, and I'm thinking it may be coming down in this direction, and if it does, I'll just pull that off and then put it in afterwards. Well, I brought my chainsaw down to the Shoreline this morning. The chainsaw I had before, the DeWalt chainsaw, it's electric, and I loved it. It was excellent, but it was leaking bar oil. Now, they all leak bar oil to some degree, I think, but this one was excessive, and I took it in and they tried to fix it and it wasn't successful. So DeWalt just said, we'll give you a new one. So this is my first shot with the new one. So I'm going to work on that birch tree that was down and try and clean this area up and get cut up into smaller pieces and taken up for firewood. Pretty good so far. These two dead pines were leaning over the driveway and where we parked the cars, so I thought I'd better take it down before nature does and have them fall on the cars or fall on somebody. I know it's been mentioned many times, but the mosquitoes are pretty brutal at this time of year, and I kept myself covered up all morning with right up to my neck and long sleeves, but it's getting too hot now, the sun's out, so I'm going to get rid of my long sleeve, and the mosquitoes will have my bare arms and neck and everything to go after. But I've used this stuff before, this off Deep Woods insect repellent for mosquitoes, and amazingly it works pretty good. So even though I may not be doing the best for my skin or my health, here we go. And hopefully that'll keep them off me, because I just can't keep that hot coat on any longer. No. You go. Go over there. We're cleaning up the shoreline a little bit here, and I cut down some real nasty thatch over there yesterday, and now she's just cleaning it up. And I want to do some chainsawing of some dead trees around here. Problem is, one of us gets to work while the other has to entertain the border collie, because he insists. and he's relentless. Bring it. And this could go on for hours. He won't stop. Will you go all day? Bring it.